Afternoon, you guys. I'm Fidelis Nugget II. I'm an Alkalign Lifestyle coach, and today I'm talking to you guys about something very powerful, and it is the topic of how cleansing leads to wealth creation. And cleansing, I'm talking about cleansing your cells. I'm talking about how cleansing your cells leads to generation of wealth. And this is like a really powerful thing for people to understand, because if they can see why they have to delete the generational patterns and memories that they have trapped inside their guts, if they can get rid of these things and alter these patterns, they can now create brand new pathways and new patterns to go to obtain life that's true desire. But this comes from a conscious and intentional shifting of how your energy is working, what you've been taking in. So let's start this off by, why did I bring this up today? Because I was talking to one of my mentees yesterday, and man, she's just a genius person. You'll find her actually on TikTok. Her name is Dr. Baker. You'll find her on TikTok. She's one of the smartest 20-year-olds. I believe she's 20 years old. She's crazy, but she's one of the wisest 20-year-olds that you just ever gonna meet. So follow her first date. But she brought this up about family, and she said, you know what? I didn't really understand how much trauma my family endured, like my grandparents, mother and father, things they had to endure. And she's African American, and just speaking in terms of different shades of people and cultures and what they have to go through in order to get out of the old ways of thinking into new ways of thinking to obtain wealth. It seems very challenging for some and really easy for others. But I think what's coming around is like karmic shift. I was looking at on the internet, they had an article on, I think it was it's called some super yacht that actually just sank a couple days ago. Had a billionaire on it and his 10 friends or something like that. And I was like, oh, so a super yacht sinks off of the coast of Italy or somewhere like that in the Mediterranean Sea. And I'm like, oh, he must have did something. Like he must have did something, not like a laughing matter that somebody died. But what I'm saying is he must have done something. Something must have happened prior to this whole occurrence happening. And of course, you start hearing all the stories of coincidences. This person gets hit by a car. This person gets, they drown in the sinking of a ship or something like that. And I'm like, oh yeah. So the gentleman did something to obtain his money that wasn't correct. Just nobody knew about that. So I read more into it, and as I'm reading into it, it's sure enough, something about he sold his company to HP, Hewlett Packard, for like $11 billion or something like that. And but they said that he allegedly lied on basically how much money his company was making. So I guess it was part of the deal or whatever it was. And I'm like, oh yeah, okay. So let me get you all to understand. First thing is, that's a generational pattern, 100%. 100%. There's a lineage of people, of conquerors, and of, kings and queens. And somehow people have, in the past, they used to think that gluttony was rich. So big bellies and things like that nature, that symbolizes wealth creation. And I know this stemming from my father, and my father's West African. My mother's Creole, French from Louisiana. But I understood that in Africa, not especially, but just in West Africa, they symbolized wealth with people having big bellies and people having a lot of, like, not fat, but just being very, very big. It's almost like being very gluttonous, outwardly expressing greed, showed that you had a lot of money. And I understood from really small, like a really young age, not to ever be like that. Just because I'm doing too much on the outside and I'm not doing enough on the inside. Meaning I'm obtaining this wealth, but for the reason I'm obtaining it is not the right reason. So let's really get into, and the billionaire that I saw, the gentleman that drowned, he passed on a couple of days ago in a super yacht. He had a big belly. Some of his crew members were saved and rescued by another super yacht that was nearby, but his yacht happened to flood and, go down. And he went down with the ship. I think as did his young 18-year-old daughter. And it just starts to make sense where if you can look at doing the right thing, it matters because it's going to come back to you. And I think many people in this day and age are too afraid to do the right thing because they think it's not going to come back to them in a way that is prosperous and successful. So they basically scam themselves out of life by scamming others to get deals, to get money, to look and appear rich and wealthy, but not actually be rich and wealthy with the right energy. You see, the right person doing the wrong thing, if you're the right person doing the wrong thing, it doesn't matter if you're doing the wrong thing. It's still gonna turn out right because you're the right person. You're just doing the wrong thing. And I'll give you this as a prime example. 2021, I was doing the wrong thing. I literally was attempting to make a deal to get funding to go purchase land all across California and other states to build wellness centers and, to basically to improve my company so I can serve. My goal is to heal 8 billion people in this world. Whether it's in my lifetime or not, it's obviously it's not, that's not part of the end goal, but the goal that I had was to heal 8 billion people. And so I have to start from the end. So I'm thinking, okay, I gotta go get funding, I gotta go get capital, I gotta raise this, I gotta go pitch my offer to everybody. So I'm pitching it constantly to any and everyone. I'm going on sites, I'm online, and all these things. I'm gonna go talk to people, I'm gonna go make these deals. I'm thinking, okay, I can do equity transition, I can do acquisition, whatever it is, I'm learning all this stuff about it. Lo and behold, I'm getting scammed. For like 2 years, I'm getting scammed. I'm money laundering scammed. They're using all my bank accounts, sending money, saying you have to take this money, send it somewhere else, and meet this quota here so you can get your funding there. And all I'm thinking of is getting my funding so I can go purchase, nice spaces for people to go to, because I may have been raised in a way where, I didn't have too much, but I always knew that I'm supposed to have whatever I want based on my level of knowledge that I can accumulate. It's not just you have whatever you want. I'm here, so I deserve it. Yeah, that partly is true, but you still have to know how to get it. You also have to be the right person to obtain it and to send it somewhere else. So when the money comes to you, you should be able to be clean enough to send it wherever it has to go to, because it's probably coming to you in a bad way, meaning the energy that came to you wasn't good. And that's what was happening to me. People were sending money to my business account and I'm sending it somewhere else thinking I'm in the right, which is crazy because I was completely wrong for what I was doing. I had no idea. So, I had to deal with Department of Homelands and all these things. I had to deal with all this type of stuff. But all I understood was, well, just tell the truth. I'm saying, look, this is what I signed up for. And I thought I was doing it this way. And I didn't know that I was being played. I was so ignorant to how money worked. I was so ignorant to how people's minds work. Not everybody's out to help you. And I was just so ignorant, thinking I knew at least that I'm in the right way because I'm the right person. I'm like, well, I'm the right person. I'm a great person. I have good intentions. Yeah, it doesn't matter, when you're dealing with people who don't have good intentions. So everything that I have accumulated at that time, I lose everything. And I'm just like, okay, I actually welcomely gave most of it. Like, okay, just give it all away. Just start giving things away. Just, I don't need any of this stuff. I can go accumulate it the right way. Because if it was purchased under this thing, or if it was bought or accumulated under this type of energy, I don't want it. I don't even want to have any ties to any of that stuff. So get rid of all of it, so I can have a clean slate. And that's what happened to me. You know, I literally was the right person doing the wrong thing. And lo and behold, I started to understand that many people are the wrong person doing the right thing. And they think it's gonna turn out right, but it's not. It'll turn out wrong because you were the wrong person at the beginning. It doesn't matter how kind you think you are, it doesn't matter what, it matters about the imagination, about what you're outprinting on the screen of space, and your energy stamp and footprint. So I started to understand, if I just serve God, if I just serve the Creator, and I just do what the Creator tells me to do, I'm gonna get a payout that's ridiculous. You don't even have to ask for it. God just gives it to you. It just blesses you. God just says, here, you know, like, you're serving my people, which is everyone. You're serving everyone and everything by becoming the best version of yourself. Here's whatever you need to become the best version of yourself. And it gives it to you. But I believe that abundance comes from the heart. So the chakra that you know is the heart, which combines the top with the bottom. You have the top three, crown, third eye, and the throat. You have the bottom three, which is going to be the plexus, the sacral, and the root. It's going to combine both of those through the heart. So the heart is what expands outwardly. So I love myself. I love myself more than I love anything else in this entire universe, because I am the entire universe within me. So because I love myself, that means I love the entire universe. There's no separation within me, because I don't believe in separation. I believe everything is connected, regardless of what everybody says, regardless of, mineral and nutritional values and whatever else people talk about. I don't care about all that stuff. I'm talking about energetically. I'm in a spider web of energy, and I'm connected to everything else, everyone and everything. So, with that being said, that's the insightful story about the billionaire. Let's get into why I believe cleansing leads to wealth creation. So, first off, there's patterns, generational patterns that everybody has in terms of money. There's patterns of eating, patterns of thinking, patterns of drinking, patterns of smoking, patterns of relationships, patterns of violence, patterns of aggression, rage, anger. There's patterns of everything. So there's also patterns of spending. And there's also patterns of insecurity, which I believe leads to bad decisions about money. Now, if money is energy, because it is, what type of energy is the money? It's a representation of the person, of yourself. So money just exposes you as a person. And the more that you have, the more you're able to expose yourself to the rest of the space. It's not saying that you shouldn't have a house on the hill. You should have 20 castles if you want to, 100 castles. Have as many castles as you want. But make sure that by you getting that castle, you tell everybody else how to get it. Because your job is to be the example of what is possible. So when I look at myself, I say, I'm the example of what's possible. I'm the example of coming from here, now I'm up here. So how I got from here to here, all I have to do is write it down and then plan it and then say, hey, do you want an opportunity to learn how to do this? And then give somebody the opportunity to pay for it. They'll exchange their energy in terms of money for the knowledge that I've accumulated in my experience. Am I wrong to sell them that? No, I'm completely right. So that's why I'm not sensitive to offers. I make as many offers as I want. And what I do whenever I make the offer is I detach myself from the outcome. And I make big offers because I only sell things at a premium. Because the reason why you sell things at a premium is because you hold yourself to a higher standard whenever you create these things. But now look at your generational lineage and see that there's patterns that have been shaped inside of you, and they're stored inside of your gut feelings. many people go through these processes of scamming. They go through these copycat processes and they say, it worked for this person, it's gonna work for me. Same exact thing, same exact way, but it's not. The format and the template may work, but you have to put your own authenticity inside of that format and that template. You can't verbatim take something that somebody said and then not have the understanding that that person has, because that person is different than you. But this comes from a pattern. So if you're a scammer, if you're a thief, well, it's because your mama and your daddy was a thief, or their mama and daddy was a thief, or your great grandmother or grandfather, they were a thief. And it hurts people to say that. It hurts people to actually acknowledge and be responsible for themselves, because they sit there and say, well, you know, this person was a great person and that person played you. You know, I've been played before. You know, it's not, people get played. You know, but you can't sit there and give somebody the benefit of the doubt. Hear what those words are, benefit of the doubt. There's no benefit. You don't give somebody the benefit, period. They have to earn it with intention and conscious thinking. So, you know, my father, I didn't believe he was a great businessman. I thought he had good intentions, but I just didn't believe he was a great businessman, because I felt like whenever you burn bridges and you don't build them, there's a problem. So you shouldn't leave negotiations and situations where people aren't uplifted, you know? And so I'm not saying he's a bad businessman in terms of, you know, for him, but for me, I didn't like that characteristic. I prefer to build bridges to everything. So wherever I walk around in the world, someone will help me because they know I'll help them. That's it. And I think people have a trust issue, but that's generational pattern. You have a lineage of trust issues. People have these ways of thinking about others, and they're so insecure about themselves, they lack integrity with themselves, that they can't have any belief of trust with somebody else. And that's where it really comes down to, you have to ask yourself, what's the end goal? Like, how are you trying to be remembered? Because the lineage, if it hasn't been successful, and I'm not talking about like, you know, just Rothschilds or something, or like the Vanderbilts. Like those are, I read a book, it's actually called What Would the Rockefellers Do? And the Rockefeller family. And it's talking about how you build wealth creation. You know, you use insurance, you use trust and all these things, and how the Vanderbilts also at the same time had the same amount of money as the Rockefellers. But somehow they lost it based on their lifestyle choices, and the Rockefellers kept it. Okay, well, aside from, you know, what they put their hands in and they invest their money in, just the simple fact of this lifestyle, the Vanderbilts seemed to be disorganized, also a little bit wasteful in ways. The Rockefellers, obviously, they were organized. Not saying that what they did was morally right or correct. That's not, you know, up for discussion. But it just seems that they had an organized way of thinking about money, the patterns of wealth creation. You know, I went to the Getty Museum a couple of weeks back, and they talk about how Getty, J. Paul Getty, you know, his father, now they're oil family, but they talked about how his job when he was younger was to go find properties and land that, you know, he thought there was oil on, so that his father can go drill for. And then he would take like a commission from the property that he found. His father would give him a pay cut, like a cut of it, 30%, something like that. But he worked for it, you know, he earned it. He had to use his imagination, his mind. And so he took all this wealth that he accumulated, he basically just retired and just went traveling the world to go collect art, you know, the relationships with women. You know, he's very fond of women. So at least that's what it said in terms of his history. You know, but he went to go do things, and then he built this whole trust, and he decided to give all the art to the trust, that people can come in and you can go see it for free. That's so much wealth he accumulated. He wanted to do something, and he gave it back to the people. Now, was his life, wonderful or miserable? That's based on his perception. It's not based on our perception. What I'm saying is, it's family generated. So you have lineages of wealth, and you have lineages that have accumulation based on their habits. Their habits created that wealth that they accumulated. And if you change those habits, all of a sudden, the habits that built the wealth, if you change the habits, that might take the wealth away, which obviously happened to the Vanderbilts. So what I'm saying is, you need to cleanse your gut and your cells, because your gut is what holds the entire microbiome, the entire connection in terms of feeling, and it holds your habits. So subconscious habits are built from the gut. And so because it's holding that, the cells are what hold the memory. So the cells, like the Akashic records, that's the records of everything. And if you don't cleanse that out, if you don't cleanse that thievery or that scammy behavior or that selfish or that greedy behavior, if you don't cleanse that out, you're never going to be able to be prosperous and successful, because you realize that giving is also receiving, because you're giving to yourself. And so yourself is giving it back to you, because if you're not separate, by you giving something out to the screen of space, it gives it back to you. That's how it works, because there's no separation. So you got to look at it as there's a giant scale, and the scale says, if I start to give more, then this universe has to give me more in return from what I'm giving. Because all work works. Either it's working for you or it's working on you, but I believe it works simultaneously. It works for you because it's working on you. So I don't believe it's one or the other. I believe it's simultaneously. It's working for me because it's working on me. So if I look at it from, all I have to do is keep taking action and keep doing the right work, but it has to be the right work as the right person. I may make mistakes because I need to make mistakes, because if I don't make mistakes, I'm never gonna learn anything. But I have to understand that the memories, the emotions that I have stored inside of me are they're gonna determine my risk tolerance of how much am I willing to tackle, how much am I willing to actually go through the process of learning and remembering something that's better. And in terms of money, in terms of energy, it represents you. So it's like whenever you walk in, are you the person that is the showy person only? Are you the person that's the philanthropist that only, gives the money and then freely gives it away because you don't want to have it because you're too afraid of it, Or are you the person that does it consciously with intention, that says, I'm doing this, it's leading to something that's prosperous and successful for other people? If you build things for others, other people will come. I'm just telling you, if you build things for other people, people will come. I built this channel up. It doesn't mean that I have 1 million followers in a day, but it means that if I just keep on putting in energy towards this, people come, and then I feed them something that can help them. So really, I'm expressing to you all that cleansing the memories of the past, I cleanse those memories of my past failures. And that allows me to keep on asking, allows me to keep on going to create new things. So I got scammed, so what? So, I had to suffer the consequences of making bad choices, of not listening to my energy. And not asking for more, and not being transparent and honest and upfront all the way 100%, because of fear. Once I stopped listening to anything outside of that, I just run right to the new thing, because there's no fear within me. I have the highest risk tolerance, which is I don't think of anything as a risk. I don't look at it as a risk. I look at it as there's only going to be a reward and an opportunity, and that's how I look at it. And that's what I believe. So because it's what I believe, that's what I'm going to get. So I'll start off with the first topic. So I have a couple topics that I'm just gonna dive into really. So first off, cleansing your gut and your cells leads to a healthy relationship with money because it leads to a healthy way of looking at the energy of money and what it really is. If you can get rid of the old energy from your parents and from your mom and your dad and your sisters or brothers or siblings, aunts and uncles, they all had a way of they saw money. And many people look at money as, they're not supposed to have, they can't use it for anything that they enjoy. But that's wrong because the creator tells us that we're here, it's like an amusement park. So we're supposed to be here enjoying ourselves. And it wants us to be able to bring others in along with us to enjoy things with us. You see what I'm saying? It's not supposed to sit here, you're gonna be in poverty, sleeping on the sidewalk, and it's not like that. I used to be homeless. I used to, sleep on the park benches, on people's couches, and ever since college. I did it. I didn't care. You gotta do whatever you gotta do to get whatever you want to get. And you're gonna find your way into something that's brand new. You're gonna find your way into a way that's better, prosperous for you because you know you're supposed to have that. But you also know that because you're the right person, you're supposed to have that. Not because you were feeling entitled, so you go in there and steal from something, or you go in there and take from something. It's not like that. But you do know that the energy that you're gonna put out, you're gonna get back. So that is the key. It's the golden rule perspective. The energy that you put out, you're gonna get back. So if I'm prosperous, thinking I have everything that I ever asked for, I'm just gonna keep on putting out more and more stuff because I have so much. So why not give it out? Then the universe says, I have so much. Why not give it to you? That's just how I look at it. I think that to piggyback off of this, the next topic I'm gonna go right into how being toxic and not cleansing your gut and your cells causes you to make bad financial decisions. And this is essentially the reason why I feel like people who've made it now have a downfall because they've made it. And all of a sudden, as they make it and they have more, they decide that it's like an addiction almost, that it's the next thing. But it's not supposed to be just the next thing. It's supposed to be like, what is this thing doing? And consciously, are you using it to create something brand new, like experiences, like something new, but not experiences that tarnish you or that destroy you. There's this thing, every liquor store that I see or go to a grocery store, it says wine and spirits. Literally, wine and spirits. There's no spirit in wine and alcohol. But I see people who have these addictions, opioid addictions, sleeping pill addictions, alcohol addictions, weed addictions, smoking addictions. They have money, and all of a sudden the money that they have is sabotaging them because they don't understand how to behave with it and how to use it for the greater good, meaning of themselves. You would think that when people have money, they accumulate riches and wealth, and they get millions of dollars, that they would run to go get organic food, and they would run to go buy the healthiest things, and that's not always the case. Sometimes they run right to the club, and they out until 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in the morning, and they're not sleeping with circadian rhythm. They don't know anything about nature. They forgot all about it. They acted like they're the ones that accumulated the wealth, but nature had to match up with their belief, and nature's the one that provided them with the other half. You're a co-creator. So they forget about it. And talking about in terms of like addictions, so opioid addictions, people who have opioid addictions, they're literally seeking pleasure from the outside somehow. And actually every addiction, but let's specifically talk about opioids. I remember I had a client that I trained last year. He's a wonderful gentleman, but he had an opioid addiction. And I was wondering, why does he have an addiction like this when he has all of this stuff? He has a wonderful, home, a wonderful yard, he was divorced. So his relationship didn't work out. He said he used to smoke a lot, which I could tell, but also just looking at him, he was always in a hurry. He was always running from one place to the next, going from here to here, here to here. He just kept running. He was never relaxed. And I was like, why is he never relaxed? Let me see if I can find something on him. Because he's a multimillionaire. But how did he get to be a multimillionaire? Let me look this up. And I did my research. And usually I do my research now prior to working with somebody. So I understand what I'm dealing with. I understand it back then. When I saw how the way he made his money, I said, oh, okay, yeah. Yeah. Well, that's why you're so paranoid. Because if you did it and everything was right, there'd be no reason to be paranoid because you would walk right into it. So I said, yeah. So eventually, you cut ties with that just because you didn't want to deal with that energy. Because it seemed to me, not all money is good money. Not all money is great money. It's not. Some money is not great money. So some clients that would pay you $1 million, you would sit there and say, you know what? Thank you, but I think I'm gonna pass on this one and I'll wait for the next bus to come around with the person that has better energy. And I saw that the way he made his money, in my opinion, wasn't the best way. So because it wasn't the best way, he was left struggling to find sleep. He was left without a relationship. He was left with a whole lot of voids that he needed to fulfill, that he may have thought that the money was going to gift him, but that was not the case. So one more thing that I see that happens to individuals is, besides opioid addictions, sleeping pills, because they can't turn their brains off. And this is all, I'm talking just in terms of money. This is just as a result of money and how you accumulate the money. People can't turn their brains off because they're living out of alignment because they probably did something that was wrong as the wrong person to get it. They thought they were doing the right thing, but they had bad intentions at the start. That means you're the wrong person. So say you're like a whistleblower person, or you're like a lawyer representing somebody who because in the case of the billionaire yacht that I brought up right at the beginning of the video, I think two of his defendants, or three of his defendants, were on the ship with him, and I think two of them may have drowned with him. And it's like, listen, you can't lie to accumulate wealth. Don't lie to accumulate wealth. You want to be as honest, as transparent as you possibly can, as you consciously can. Because if you go in with the sending out that karmic energy, and you do it where you're lying in order to receive something back, you're going to run into a crisis. You're going to run into a wreck. There's going to be a trauma, something that's going to happen to you that has to bring you back into the flow of honesty and divinity. It has to happen to you. It has to happen to you. I'm telling you, not only from personal experience, but just from seeing it like a whole. So the addictions, the sleeping pills, the opioids, even the oversex, you start to go find women or men. You have to go. You're so anxious all the time. You have to go to express your energy outwardly, because it's almost like it's hurting you while it stays inside of you, because it's so not pure. You're just getting rid of it, and you're only going to attract people to you who are in the same exact frequency and energy space and vibration as you. So you're just manufacturing bad energy for bad energy. So that's what oversex does. That's what overstimulation of some kind. That's what sleeping pills, opioid addictions, pain pills. When you're an athlete, athletes especially, they make a lot of money. If you're a professional athlete in a sport that has a large market, you make a lot of money. But if you don't take care of your lifestyle and do the right things as the right people, you're going to have a bad experience, a consequence that comes to you. And this is just, again, like a whole. There's no separation, period. So, when I'm growing up, if you growing up, wherever you're growing up in the hood, wherever you're growing up, you're told no snitching. You can't tattletale on anybody. You can't say anything. People go to jail for years from not telling the truth. Somebody else did something that you saw, but for some reason, you think that it's wrong for you to tell the truth about what you saw, so you'd rather be locked up. And I don't know what type of respect that you're going, I have no idea what respect you're going for, but people do this for years. They'll stay locked up 30, 40 years because they don't want to snitch, because they a real one, or whatever they call it. I don't know what that means, because that's the fakest of the fake. That's not real, that's fake. That's complete opposite of being real. But being real is being pure, being transparent, and being vulnerable, and being accountable. Being fake is lying, running from the truth. That's the fakest of the fake. So people who are fake are the ones that go in there and lie. That's what I started to understand, because you're being further and further from your authentic self. So it's fake. You should get no respect. You should garner no respect and attention for any of that. And the attention that you do get should be, it shouldn't be hate. But so many people are lying to themselves all the time, and they're lying to themselves about what they want and what they truly desire, that you start to feed into it because you want to be liked. But you don't need to be liked. You need to be efficient. If you want to change the world, you need to have a lot of money. I remember when I went to go see Dan Pena speak in 2022 for my birthday. He was very adamant about that. He said, if you want to change the world, you gotta have some money. You can't go up in there and act like, this is like charity work. This isn't charity. Like, first of all, you deserve it. You have a good idea to change the world, and you believe it. This is something that's beneficial for somebody else. Do it. Some people think that alcohol is beneficial. They do, and you know what? The universe blesses them with money so that they can go do it. Eventually, they find out that that's not the case. Sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes, and then they change their ways and they go make something else that's healthy, a healthy alternative to what they're used to be doing in the first place. People do it all the time. You have the right to be able to grow and evolve. So don't hold somebody accountable for what they did in the past if they're now doing something completely different that's better than what they were doing in the past. People do that a lot too. But when you're seeing too many women have too many sexual partners, too many men have too many sexual partners, sometimes they're just doing it because of they're running from the truth from the inside. And that is a thing that I'm just speaking from my own opinion. I believe that stems from an accumulation of wealth, and you were doing it in a way that is not in harmony with the Creator. That's how I look at it. So being toxic energetically causes you to make bad financial choices. Instead of investing, you go spend. You go waste. It's wasteful. And it's mostly it's not a selfish thing in a good way. It's a selfish thing in a bad way because it's wasteful. It says you're gonna go buy fast food. It's like a gluttonous type of thing. You don't need to do that. There's a better alternative for you to do something on this side. But rather than do that, you choose this. Because you're in a pattern that you did not clean out from the gut. You did not clean out from the cells. So every time that you get into this space, like when I say whenever you get into a sad space, you have a certain thing that you go eat, certain song that you play, certain book that you read, certain place that you go. Whenever you get to a happy space, you have a certain thing that you eat, certain thing that you read, certain drink that you drink. It's all based on your feeling states, but your feeling states come from your gut. So if you're feeling a certain type of way and you just made $10,000 off of this deal, perfect. You just did a great job. You closed the deal, everything is great. Now, if you have not dealt with what's in here and inside the cells, they make up all of you. If you haven't dealt with that, you're gonna carry yourself back into the same hamster wheel pattern, and potentially you'll lose it, or potentially you'll grow it. That's just it. Potentially you'll multiply it, or you will lose it, because it's based on patterning. So if your parents, whenever billionaires, and they didn't teach you how to be one. You don't have no habits, no software program inside your head that's telling you how to go do it. You have to go find somebody to go do it. If they didn't tell you how to believe and how to think about money in it as energy and abundance based on love, you have to love yourself. If you don't love yourself, you're gonna give it all up. I don't deserve to have it. So charity, everything. That ain't the case. It ain't your job to take care of somebody else. It's not your job to do that. Like, you live in a forest. We all live in a forest of trees. We live in a forest of trees. So somebody's branch breaks off, you don't go pick up the branch and try to tape it back on. The branch broke off because they wanted the branch to break off. They have to do that. They have to go in there to patch that back up. They can do it, but they have to do that based on their level of belief. It's not your job to go in there to band-aid everything all the time. So being toxic energetically literally causes you to make bad financial choices. And this is where it stems from bad perceptions, just bad base beliefs about money. There's a science, and the science is really simple. If I just think of myself as wealthy, prosperous, respectful, great attention, just a great person, and a rich and wealthy person with the wealth of knowledge, I want my knowledge to be multiplied. And if my heart is big enough, my heart rhythm is big enough, it changes. It changes really quickly, like overnight. And I'm always teaching how to do the right thing. I'm always showing that this is what you can have. This is a possibility for you. And so it just changes how you look at yourself energetically. But if you're a person that's a drunk, that's a, domestic violence, rage, one of these people that it's only aesthetic, only for show. I'm gonna go get the nicest cars. I have 20 of them. What you got 20 of them for? You can only sit in one. What you got 20 houses for? You can only sit in one. You can only, go into one. Now, you can own 20 of them, but own them for some other people to come and live. Own them for other people to come to experience. Don't just own them just for you to experience by yourself. That's kind of a waste. So, you see a lot of people who have real estate for wealth creation, but the reason is because they're purchasing real estate so people can go in to live. They're literally the ones that are going to flip houses and do these things. I'm not saying that everybody's right who does it. Everybody has good intentions, but from what I'm seeing, a lot of the billionaires that do focus on real estate and things like that, they're doing it because give people places to live. Why not? So I think it comes down to, again, look at yourself energetically and see what side of the spectrum that you're on. And, see if one big thing I'm gonna get into right after this is just, see how your history has impacted you based on patterning, and see if you've been doing new things to change your habits. Because if you're doing things to change your habits, especially your attitude towards money, that should change. It's like my best friend. Money is like my bestest friend, because I understand that it does so many things for me. It does so many things, so I can gift people. I can gift myself, I can gift my dogs, I can gift my, my lady, my family, friends. But I can also improve my business. I can delegate jobs to other people. I can pay them now so that they can help me to build what I'm building. But in the same thing, I'm also helping them to build their own. It changes how I look at things. So when I go to people's places of business and I purchase something from it, I feel like I'm investing in them. They're also investing in me, by giving me their product. So it's like loving myself, but whenever you make something for somebody else, you should put the love that you have into your product, and then they put the love into you by exchanging their money for your product. That's how I look at it. I think people are just too sensitive at times, and they just don't feel like they're worthy enough. But you have to feel like you're worthy to have the life that you desire to have before you can go create it. So, what being toxic energetically leads you to, there's more things. Impressing your friends over impressing God. God has a plan for you. The creator within you, it's in your heart. It's telling you, directing you to the means of what you're going to go get to accumulate. It's telling you what your purpose, because the action that you're serving right now, that you're doing, is the purpose. So my purpose right now is recording these videos and teaching the content, reading the books, doing the experimentation on myself to provide you guys with a different level of knowledge to change your lifestyle. That's my purpose. Okay, so I'm gonna do it the best way I possibly can, with a passion, with a smile on my face, because I believe in changing, and I believe it's changing, life changing for people if I continue to show up and do this. That's what your purpose is. So if you're looking at it from that regard, the destiny that you see at the end, it comes through you based on you serving the purpose, doing the work that you're supposed to do every day. And what I see is that people start to focus on impressing others from the outside. You're living from the outside. So that means I'm gonna go get 10 houses to go throw 20 parties. You're gonna end up like Diddy, throwing parties here and here to make sure everybody thinks that you're something that you really aren't, because on the inside, you're running from the truth. And you can obviously just see it. There's people all over the place, whether you're a celebrity or just a person who doesn't warrant too much notoriety. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You're gonna be, it's the same thing. It's still a person that either says I'm authentic, I'm in a divine space, and I'm impressing the God within me, or I'm focused on impressing the outside and seeing what people's perception of me is. Doesn't matter what their perception of you is. That's a waste of your time. But people literally make choices, make financial decisions based on impressing other people. I gotta go get the most beautiful woman. Like, I've seen this multiple times with men especially. They're fat, they're ugly, energetically, not just aesthetically, but they're rich and wealthy in terms of physical assets, tangible assets with money. And they go get a beautiful woman. She doesn't want you. She has no interest in you because you have no interest in you. So because you have no interest in you, you attract people who also have no interest in you, and they'll come in there to come take and extract from you. And you can get angry, you can get mad, but you got exactly what you wanted. So if you see a man or a woman, and women do it too, where a lack of self-care, and you start to understand that lack of self-care is affecting you energetically. But you may have a lot of money. You may have a lot of assets that are left to you somehow, or maybe you created it on your own. You'll do the same exact thing that the men do. And take all you girls out, go on a little girls trip. Men do it, they go on the all boys trip. The billionaire that I told you at the beginning of this video, he was celebrating basically getting out of court, because he basically won his case. Well, he won his case in the courtroom, but you didn't win your case in the universe though. You see what I'm saying? And it starts to tell you that doing the wrong things to get wealth led you down the pathway to losing all your energy. That's what happened to me. And I was doing the wrong things and led me down a pathway to lose what I had that was controlled by me, but then it gave me so much more that was controlled by God. So I lost the things that I thought were wealthy, and I gained the things that God within me says are wealthy. These things that I have now is wealth. I have a community, I have people, that come to me, purchase my products, they come back and tell me how wonderful these things are. It's life-changing for them. I'm changing generational patterns. Man, how crazy is that? I didn't even know I would even be doing this type of stuff. But then it was like, what do you want? And I'm like, okay, well, I want this, I want this. It was like, okay, click, soon, check. Got that one too. You can have that one too. You can have 5 of these too. I'm like, man, but it makes sense because I'm the right person doing the right thing. Now I got everything matched up in alignment. But people, if you're impressing friends, or so-called friends, because they're not really your friends. If you're impressing people who don't really care about you, they don't care about you. They just want to be associated with you because you're making them look good. That's it. So please also understand that celebrities, wealthy, individuals, please understand that. I know that they probably talk with you about that, athletes and things. They say you got to get rid of your entourage because your entourage is going to bring you down, which is 100% true. You can't hang around, bums and people who aren't wealthy, aren't successful, because if they're not successful, they're going to make you unsuccessful like them. So, you don't want to have some separated mind. It's like, you think it's like imposter syndrome, but you have to be successful before you actually achieve success. So people who aren't successful they haven't achieved success because they haven't become successful yet. That's really just how it works. But once you become successful, the path just starts to come to you. You don't have to do anything. It just starts pouring riches at you. But that's because you're using your thinking brain the right way, and you're also using your heart the right way, So another thing about being toxic energetically, what it causes you to do in terms of bad financial decisions is it makes you think that asset accumulation for yourself is self-love. So the more castles that I accumulate, the more sand castles that I have, the more mansions that I have, the more stock that I hold, the more percent of this company, the more acquisitions that I make, the more things that I can accumulate. This is what self-love is. That's what it makes you think. But that's not what self-love is. It's not. It's the relationships that you build. It's the energy that you express outwardly, that you send out to someone and they send back to you. The relationships that you accumulate over time. The people that you help. The lives that you change. My mom is one of the best teachers I've ever met in my life. She's actually probably one of the best teachers many people have met in life because she's award-winning, several times. But not to put on the pedestal, but what I'm saying is the reason why she's so great at what she does is because people come back to her years, 20 years, 30 years, and they say, Miss Sanogi, you're so wonderful. You did this for me. You changed my life when I met you, and I was now on this trajectory pathway. So she affects generational patterns of family. She affects them. Her job is to teach people how to learn, and she shows them how to do it in the best way she possibly can, and she does an excellent job. She does a remarkable job, and it just makes me feel good because I learned the same way. My sister, she's the same way. She used to tutor, but it's just a transference of knowledge creation. And when you can learn that this is the way that you're supposed to think about asset accumulation. It's not just going to go get a tangible building. You're going to go purchase some real estate. You're going to go play the Monopoly game. Go get, 2 houses and 1 hotel. You need to go do that. Okay, but you need to do it with good intention. That says, let me show you all how to do it. All you got to do is build and create. This is a blank canvas of space. So all we got to do is keep on building things and using each other through creation, through connection, through contribution to make more things. It's not just I'm hoarding stuff. So what I mean by asset accumulation is like hoarding. And that's not it. You don't need to be hoarding anything. You need to be looking at yourself and saying, okay, if I have all of these tangible assets and I'm making all of these tangible assets and I'm hoarding them, what use is that getting out of what I have accumulated? Not much. So you start to overspend to impress your friends. But they're not your friends. You thought they were your friends, but not your friends. They never cared a lick about you. They figured how to use you so they can get better, but you didn't even catch on to that because you thought that they were so impressed by your money or, by your gifts. It doesn't make sense. And so you got to look at yourself and say, if I didn't have this money, would this person be right next to me? If I didn't have this gifts to be able to give them, would they still be with me? Would they still call me, or talk with me? I've got my best friend, my brother G. I've known him, I talk about it all the time. 24 years I've been knowing him. If I got a question about investing, I call right now. If I need $1, I call him. He'd be in a flash to come help me out. But that's also because if he needed any help, if he needed anything that I know I can gift him with, whether it's time, energy, money, whatever I need, he know I'm gonna be right there to go do the same thing. So if you got people whom you actually have a genuine connection with, those are your actual friends. Don't go spend some money to go look good, go buy the big wheels and go ahead the rims and go, flash yourself in the VIP and in the ballet so that the girls can see that them ain't gonna be your real partners. There's all these videos going on with these gold digger videos talking about the women, the men park the nice car on the side of the street and then they walk up to a lady on the curb or something, or she's walking from the store or something like that. And they want to like test her loyalty or something, just to see if she's a good person or not. And it's like, you don't have to do that. I don't think people have to do that. I think what you start to look at is, are you actually the person's friend, like genuinely a friendly person? You can tell in an instant from somebody's energy if all they're doing is looking at your vehicle or your Rolex watch, or whatever shoes that you got on, or what you're wearing. You can tell in an instant. And if you still go to pursue that, that's your fault. That's your fault, man. Women too, same thing. That's your fault. They ain't got nothing of substance to teach you, something to bring you forward or bring you out of somewhere else that you were in. Why are you with them? They don't serve you anything, they're not doing anything for you. So that's your fault. Yeah, so people they should just be honest with yourself, man. Like, you don't have to go in there to go do some testing, to go the gold digger prank. I want somebody who wants an exceptional life, but I also want somebody who wants an exceptional life who's willing to learn how to get that exceptional life and be a great person to accumulate that. Not feel entitled like they are owed that. Because the universe doesn't owe you anything. It doesn't owe you a dime. It doesn't owe you a building or a bed to sleep in. It doesn't owe you anything. You have to put the fuel into everything first, and it gives it back to you. So I think all this stuff is pettiness. It's just, you don't need to do it for likes or anything like that. But I'm thinking that people are making bad choices because, again, cleansing. They have generational traumas and patterns, and maybe it was slavery that's passed down. It is passed down, not maybe. So, that stuff is passed down in your DNA. Lynchings, jail time, bad choices made, or verdicts from the court, from the judge. These things are passed down. Thievery, murders, all types of bad things, fights. These things are passed down. And so if you don't get rid of all these things and you don't heal that gut in the way that you feel, you'll be a person that's gonna live for the opioid addictions, the sleeping pill addictions, the painkillers. If you're like the athlete or whatever, you have pain, and energy traumas cause pain. Over sex, thinking that you go to get $100,000 tomorrow is gonna go buy you the baddest chick on the block, and you're gonna go try to sleep with 10,000 women like you Will Chamberlain or something like that. It's foolishness. Why don't you find something that's powerful like a Michelle Obama and build that one up? Not to say Barack didn't help to build, but she seems to be the one that's building him up a lot more. But that's okay. But so what? What I'm saying? Like, you want to see how making better choices in a purified state can affect your wealth. Well, really sit there and focus on cleansing the patterns of generations that were lodged inside your body, inside your cells, in your cellular memory, and then see what happens. You'll stop impressing your friends. You'll stop undisciplined spending. You'll actually create a budget plan. Not that you have to limit yourself. Budgets aren't limits. They're just organization. That's what budgets to me are. They're not limits. It's not saying you can't do something. It just says it's organization. We'll do this first. This is a priority because if I do this first, then I'll have the whole pool to now create this whole thing. So that's what you do whenever you have budget. You say this, I'm budgeting for this end goal. And so I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna run this pace in the 400 meters. And then the last 100 meters, I'm gonna sprint to the gold medal, to the finish line. But you have to have a pace. That's what I believe budgets are. It's just like a pace. So when you start to be disciplined in your way of thinking at the end goal and the end result, the universe comes and it helps you out because you're the right person doing the right thing and your intentions are great. But listen, there's a science about this. You're supposed to have whatever you desire to have, but you're supposed to be the person first that can accumulate that. So make sure you're just not just gonna go follow other people's rules. You're gonna go get the alcohol. You're gonna go and invest in things that don't really serve humanity. Don't do that. In my opinion, it's not fulfilling for you to do that. I'm not here to give you financial advice, for you. So I'm not a financial advisor. I don't care about any of that stuff. So you'll find somebody who's gonna tell you, but it's not gonna be me. I'm just telling you to do things that make you feel fulfilled with your money. Do things that really make you feel fulfilled. You want to do the best of the best, go find somebody who charges the best of the best. That's why you should be the person that charges the best of the best, to hold yourself accountable, to be the best. But look at it from cleansing does a whole lot for your wealth than being toxic. And when you own up to that, and you're accountable for that, I guarantee it'll change the way you see money, the way money comes into your field of space, and the way you make different choices about the money. You'll start to see it work in a different way for you. It'll work in your favor instead of against you. 100%.